Good evening, everyone. At this time, I'll call to order the business meeting for the Faribault Public Schools School Board here on June 15th, 2025, the district office. Welcome to those of you who are in attendance and those who are watching online. Director Steves, do we have a quorum present?
Yes, Mr. Chair, there is.
Thank you. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we begin getting further into our agenda, I have an announcement here. First of all, I'd like to inform everyone that former superintendent of schools here in Faribault Public Schools, Dr. Robert Stefaniak, passed away Saturday morning. And on behalf of the district and the school board, we extend our condolences to his spouse and his family. Bob was a very good superintendent here in Faribault and continued to live here in Faribault, and we extend our condolences to his family. Moving on to agenda item number 2, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Wolf. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Knudsen. Discussion. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item number 3, recognition, awards, and presentations. There is none. Agenda item number 4, items of information. School board members. So, anyone have anything they would like to share? Items of information. Director Moore, would you like to start? You good tonight, or?
Yeah, I'll
Okay,
start.
great.
I wanted to mention before too that the graduation for the ALC, I was at that and I was really, I think it was moving. They always do such a good job, and so congrats to the students and congrats to all the students. I would like to clarify something, but I want to, and it won't be long, but I want to give some context first. Just in the news, fraud is a hot topic these days. In fact, Minnesota, I think, has at least $9 billion and counting fraud. And this is coming out of the taxpayer pockets. We on the board, we represent the people, especially the taxpayers. We're not accountable to anyone in administration or anything, but to the taxpayers. And I think more and more of the taxpayers are demanding accountability, like where's the money going? Moreover, taxpayers want details and specifics. So I guess how can we on the board show accountability? And I think we can show accountability in a couple of ways. One way is that we actually have to be given the opportunity and the necessary time to adequately review all documents that come across the agenda every month. Secondly, as far as revenue, money coming in, we must be given enough detail and specifics as to where and how all the monies are coming in, including the budget items and any donations and gifts that are spent. That's accountability. I guess my point is I will not put my stamp of approval on any document or resolution that I have not thoroughly reviewed, and sometimes that does require time. And that is accountability as well. Secondly, I will not approve any item that does not give adequate specifics as to where, how the money is to be spent. Again, accountability. I think, Mr. Wolf, you made a good point, granted in reference to policy amendments, but that we should not approve anything that has been given to us on the day that we are to approve of it. In fact, I think if it's a large document, we should have several days prior. And I think that's a good policy to follow in general, and I thank you, Mr. Wolf, for that. So, and then the last thing, I just wanted to, this was concerning the consent agenda. I was concerned about the behavior coordinator position mentioned and asked about that today, and I thank you for the prompt response. To be clear to the public, this is not the behavioral health coordinator. That's different. This new position was approved last February. I will say I didn't vote for that since I believe with our future budget that we shouldn't be adding new positions at this time. But that's kind of water over the dam now. But having said that, I think that Mr. Dana is in a tough position with the special ed. And I also think he's a hard worker, administrator, and he works diligently to be as efficient as possible. So even though I don't think he's here, I want to thank him for that. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Director Knudsen?
So I guess I attended 3 graduations, Jefferson 5th grade graduation and the ALC graduation and the Faribault High School graduation, and it was just great to see so many people attend the graduations and the wonderful job that the students did and got their diplomas and get to move on to their next step in life. So, thank you.
Director Boudreaux, do you have anything?
No. Yeah, shout out to all of our graduates, no matter what grade they're currently in or moving on to, or if they're moving on to their future. I had the pleasure of attending a preschool graduation that was pretty special as my youngest graduated onto kindergarten. And then that same weekend, a few days later, our high school graduation, where we graduated how many students overall?
I think it was 187.
Yep, and then in combination with the ALC students, puts us over 200 students graduating, and we wish them the very, very best.
Director Wolf?
I have nothing other than to echo everybody's well wishes to our senior graduates. Thank you.
Okay, I'll finish up here by saying, first of all, thank you to all of those at the high school who organized the graduation. Mr. Nate Molitor, Mr. Joel Timmers, and Ms. Allison Sweeney, administrators, just what a ceremony, what a process, just a beautiful ceremony. Thank you to the board members who attended that, showing the public that, again, we are involved in and we are invested in our kids. Also, I attended the Faribault Middle School 8th grade graduation on Thursday, June 4th. And again, a big thank you to Dr. Stacy Fox, Mr. Jesse Armbruster, and Mr. Jacob Stallo. They're 2 different groups, just those 8th graders were proud to walk across there and dressed up and look sharp, and parents were extremely proud of their kids. And of course, also attended the ALC graduation. Thank you, Mr. Jake Hager, for that fabulous presentation and graduation for those kids as well. So, and as all of us said, congratulations to graduates and best wishes to you in the future. Moving on to agenda 4B, Superintendent, Mr. Benty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll continue with the graduation piece. I want to recognize and celebrate the many important milestones our students reached this school year. From preschool students preparing for kindergarten students completing their first year of school, 5th graders moving on to the middle school, 8th graders preparing for high school, and students earning diplomas through our adult education program, Area Learning Center, and Faribault High School. Each transition represents hard work, growth, and achievement. So we congratulate all of our students and families on these accomplishments and wish them continued success as they begin their next chapter. I would also like to congratulate our district retirees and thank them for their years of dedication and service to Faribault Public Schools. Their contributions have made a lasting impact on our students, staff, and community, and we wish them nothing but the best in retirement. Last month, I got to speak at the first annual Careers in Education Day for students interested in exploring careers in education. Students had the opportunity to learn about a wide variety of roles within a school district, hear from district leaders and staff members, and gain better understanding of the many pathways available in public education. Events like this help inspire the next generation of educators and school professionals. Also, we recently recognized our Faribault Middle School Outstanding Athlete Award nominees and winners. These students were selected not only for their athletic accomplishments, but also for their academic success and the commitment to our SOAR expectations. So congratulations to all of the nominees and award recipients. We are excited to share that Ms. Fedora is creating a digital archive of our yearbooks dating back to 1919. This project helps preserve the history of Faribault Public Schools while making decades of memories and Falcon traditions accessible to our community. If you haven't seen it, I believe we are up through, I think we're up to maybe the 1950s now that have been uploaded.
I know there's some in the 60s.
Oh, there's some in the 60s. We made it that far now? Okay. But it's just very interesting. You can go back and see all, for free, all of the yearbooks. So, and finally, I would like to recognize Falcon Education Enrichment Program, or FEEP, for continuing to support innovative learning opportunities for students and staff. One recent project brought together students from industrial technology and science classes to design and construct benches for an outdoor prairie learning space at Faribault High School, demonstrating the value of collaboration and hands-on learning experiences. And then finally, upcoming events, Faribault Public Schools will once again offer free summer meals for all children 18 years and under. There are no income requirements or registration forms or paperwork needed. Meals are available throughout the summer at Lincoln Elementary and Faribault High School, with limited meal availability at Riverbend Nature Center. This important program helps ensure that our students continue to have access to nutritious meals while school is out of session. Families can visit the district website for complete information on meals and for serving times. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Superintendent Venti. We'll move on to agenda item number 6, the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of minutes from the May 18th, 2026 and June 1st, 2026 work session. Employment, additional assignments, other, and authorization of payments, transfers, and investment accounts. Is there a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Director Boudreau, second by Director Wolf. No discussion on this. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Agenda item number 7, District Advisory Committee, there is no report. Agenda item number 8, the Policy Committee. 8A is Policy Committee minutes. Presenters are Director Steves and Director Moore. So I'll turn it over to you two.
Go, or I can, sure can. So at June 2nd's policy meeting, which is our last one throughout the summer, our next one will begin the first Tuesday in August. We had 4 policies to review, and then I believe 3 policies with revisions. As you can see from the notes, the discussion and the outcome of the votes is in there.
Yes, I concur to that. I just would like to mention something about policy 721. It was the grant procurement policy. I'd just like to mention this a little ahead of time. It was recommended now by the Minnesota School Board Association, the MSBA, to remove the United States Constitution from the sentence. This was regarding grants. The school district must comply with the United States Constitution, federal statutes, regulations, and the terms and conditions of the federal award. I think the possible reasoning for this was that the U.S. Constitution may be federal statutes, it may be redundant. But I do know where there are times when the Supreme Court has found that certain statutes are unconstitutional, and I did look online, and I don't have them, but I can give them to you. It was also pointed out that the U.S. Constitution is based on the premise that all individuals are created equal. So if we really adhere to the principle of equity, inclusiveness, or equality, if we really adhere to that, if we come against the Constitution, we are essentially contradicting ourselves. So it was a unanimous vote to keep the U.S. Constitution in that sentence. I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Bless you.
8B, our first reading of policies. They are review of policy 720, vending machine policy. 8B2, review of policy 908, capital projects policy. 8B3 is review of policy 910, energy efficiency. 8B4 is revisions to policy 410, family and medical leave policy. 8B5, change policy 625, use of and reproduction of copyrighted materials to policy 699. 8B6, revisions to policy 721, uniform grant guidance policy regarding federal revenue sources. And 8B7, revisions to policy 806, crisis management policy. Board members, is there any questions or discussion on the first reading of policies as I presented them?
Mr. Chair, I do, and I apologize, I don't know, maybe I should have asked this follow-up to Director Moore and Director Steves, but if I can ask Director Director Moore specifically, in the policy committee, I believe you voted against policy 910. There's and I think you had an amendment in there, that's the energy efficiency one, and I believe your amendment was to remove item number 16, which would be, I believe, on page 3 of 3
Oh,
of the
yes.
3-page document. And you had amended, or moved to amend renewable energy to include but not limited to solar and wind energy. Would you be so kind just to educate me at least on your thoughts there of amending that, or?
Well, I did say it's redundant. Renewable energy is also including in solar and wind.
Oh.
And I do have some more things to say. I don't have it with me about solar and wind that are concerning, so I'd like to address that at some point. But I think there's a redundancy there. It says renewable energy. Solar and wind are renewable energy. So
Okay.
does that?
Yeah, I just wasn't sure. I just wanted to ask the question. So thank
Okay.
you very much.
Any other further discussion or questions? I do have a question on policy 721 with that, and I believe it was an amendment to keep the word constitution into policy 721, am I correct? 'Cause-
Yes,
Okay, so
yes.
So Superintendent Benty, Director Steves, Director Moore, by keeping that in there, what was recommended by MSBA, and I know there were, I believe if I remember right, there was quite a lengthy list of legal references, both federal and state. If I remember right, so by keeping the word constitution, I have no issue with it whatsoever. There's no change which we needed to pass through legal or anything like that.
I do not believe so, because it also says federal statutes and regulations, and that would fall under, that would just be a redundancy piece to say the United States Constitution, so.
Excellent, very good. I'm happy to hear that, so that's great.
Mr. Chair, can I just follow up?
You certainly may.
When something like that takes place, when it's recommended, right, this is recommended by MSBA,
Yes.
we vote against it, do we have any procedure where we reach out to MSBA and ask them for any rationale of what is their reasoning for recommending that?
We haven't done that since I've been here. We haven't just changed one or two things in there without us reaching out to our attorneys to get them to look at it. In this case, like I said, I believe it's just redundancy in there, so it's, I didn't see the need to reach out to our attorneys. I absolutely can do that if the board would like.
Yeah, and I'm not recommending our attorneys. I'm more so like MSBA of just, why do they recommend it, and we're going to vote against it. Is that what I'm hearing, right?
Yeah, I don't think we really understood what the reasoning was MSBA, but Mr. Benty, you did say that maybe they thought it was a redundancy. I don't know, that's what your
And they
thought was.
don't always give, they give us a little bit of information,
Yeah.
but they don't always give us why they're striking
Yeah.
certain pieces.
I'm
here and
just
there.
curious. I mean,
Yeah.
it's quite frankly, it's not often that we have a 7-0 vote in our policy committee against something MSBA references.
Correct.
Especially with legal reference and all that stuff. And so I was just curious, what are we seeing or we think we see that they don't see, or what are we missing? So that's all. And I don't recommend spending money on an attorney on it. I just was curious what MSBA's rationale is.
Anything else on any of the policies? Okay, consider that the first reading. And we'll move on to agenda item number 9, other committees. Finance Committee, Director Boudreau, turn that over to you.
Finance?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Finance Committee meeting was held remotely on June 8th, 2026, 7:30 a.m. Committee actions include approval of the meeting agenda, approval of the minutes from the May 11th meeting, approval of a 4-year student device lease proposal as presented by Mike Birding, Director of Education, Technology, and Innovation, approval of property and casualty insurance and workers' comp coverage renewal recommendations for 26-27 with input from Grant Wilson, Hartman Insurance, approval of 5 food service contracts and vended meals agreements for 2027 as presented by Barbie, Director of Finance and Operations, and approval of the 26-27 adopted budget as presented. The May student count shows 4 more students enrolled than April, but overall 35 students below our budget projections. The May investment report shows $78.5 thousand in earned interest, with cash and investments increasing to $24.26 million, which secures strong liquidity. Utilities show 0 activity due to large HVAC electricity credit, and self-insurance funds show revenue exceeding expenditures. Report of our general fund expenditures shows food service and construction in intentional spend-down mode. It shows our year-to-date spending is at 80% of budget, with revenues at 72%. Projections for the 2026-27 adopted budget indicates an enrollment decline of 50-plus students and continued drops that will require 2 million cuts for 2028. And our compensatory funding was reduced by $278,000. Our general fund formula increase at 2.7%, which is $1.3 million. English learner funds increased $578,000. Expenditure increases in transportation, negotiated salaries, and other obligations. The unassigned fund balance projections for 27 will stand at 10.57%. Pretty thorough. Thank you. Thank you, Barbie.
Thank you, Director Boudreau. Agenda item 9B, Facilities Committee. Directors Moore and Director Wolf.
The meeting was postponed, but it will be this Thursday, and we're going to be touring McKinley. So we will have a report next month then. So very simple.
I confirm everything she stated is accurate.
Thank you, Director Wolf. Okay, agenda item number 10, other matters. 10A, gifts, donations. Resolution 2629 reads as follows. Approving acceptance of the following gifts, donations. Candace Knutson donated $1,000 for DECA ICDC. Donations to the Nest. Ruth's House, 3 bags and 1 box of feminine hygiene products. American Legion Post 43, hygiene products and food, estimated value of $50. Chad Wolf, 3 boxes of Falcon gear and other clothing. The Faribault Foundation donated $1,000 for community school programming, $2,304 to Faribault Middle School for updating sports equipment, and $200 to Faribault High School for DECA. Fourth is the Faribault Booster Club donated $1,101 to offset expenses for preventative maintenance and repairs to equipment in the Felix Fitness Center. JSM Solutions Audio Meter Calibration donated calibration of hearing screening equipment valued at $855 for student health screenings. Carleton College Girls Circle donated board games, including Connect 4, 2 of them, headbands, Mancala, Spotted, Checkers, Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza, and a chess set for the Faribault Jefferson Falcons Beyond program. And lastly, various people donated toiletries, household supplies, and food items, an estimated value of $225 for the Jefferson Community School Welcome Center to support our Faribault Public Schools students and families. Is there a motion for approval of Resolution 26-29 accepting gifts donations as I have just read?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Steves. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Boudreau. Discussion?
Just,
Director Moore?
Oh, you can, I think you started. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
huge thank you to all of our donors. Quick math here is roughly $8,000-ish. Our students, our families rely heavily on a lot of these programs, and very much thank them for their contributions to our students and their families.
I think it's, Mr. Chairman, I think it's very impressive. Every month, we have donations from our community, and they're very generous, and our own board members. And I think it's very complimentary of our school district and how engaged our community is in the school district and how supportive. So it makes you feel good as a board member to see that kind of response. So thank you to all.
Further discussion? Director Moore?
Yes, thank you to all the donors. And especially Candace Knudsen donated 1,000. I mean, and the Booster Club, 1,100. And all of the donors. I want to thank the Faribault Foundation for the generous donation for the sports equipment and for the DECA organization. That is a very good organization that's been around a long time. In fact, I was a part of DECA way back. And also for the $1,000 to the community school programming. I would like to know a little more specifics on that. Do you have anything specific on that with the community school? I'd like to be a little bit more specific on the donation, what it's going for.
So it goes for programming for before school and after school programming that our community school takes on. So it's no different than like Falcons Beyond or really any of our other programs in here.
Okay. What does the programming involve?
I don't think this is a discussion item
Okay,
at this point.
very
This
good.
is gifts, donations here.
Okay,
and They
fine.
donated to that, so I do not believe that is a discussion item. Any further discussion on Resolution 26-29? I think it's pretty well echoed by the board. Thank you to all our donations and our donors for all they do for our kids in our district. See no further discussion. Director Steves, this is a roll call item.
Linda Boudreau,
Aye.
Candace Knudsen,
Aye.
Linda Moore,
No?
Jerry Robichaud,
Aye.
Cassie Steves, aye. Chad Wolf.
Aye.
John Bellingham.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-1.
6-1. Agenda item 10B, consider approval of the third-party billing contract for fiscal year 27. Is there a motion for approval of the third-party billing contract for fiscal year 27?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Wolf. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Knudsen. And discussion. So, Mr. Benton?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is just our standard third-party billing contract that we go through every year at this time. The rates are on there, as well as the attachment that talks about what the third-party billing proposal will cover. So standard operating procedure year after year.
And if I remember correctly, Superintendent Benty, years ago, when we went to this third-party billing, the district received much more money coming in because it's a job.
It is,
It's
yes.
Director Moore.
So just to clarify then, this is something that this isn't something new. We've been doing this every year. This is more or less.
We've been doing this for a very long time,
That's,
yes.
I just want to clarify. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 10C, consider adoption of resolution 26-32, certification of updated district population estimate. Is there a motion for adoption of Resolution 26-32?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Boudreau. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Knudsen. And discussion, I think for description, Ms. Raisler, if you would like to just inform us a little bit more about this.
Mr. Chair, just before we start, just for clarification, I think there's just a small typo. In the description, it says Resolution 26-32. What is attached says Resolution 25-32 on board book, so I think that's maybe just a typo, 25 versus 26, just maybe we can get that
Okay,
cleared up
I'm reading off
after
my
this.
printed, so
I don't know if anybody else has seen that, but that's what's shown on my board book. So.
my board book says 26-32.
In your attachment?
Oh, in the resolution.
Yeah.
Oh,
See what I'm saying?
yes, I do.
The
Thank
actual
you.
resolution is titled 2532.
Okay, we'll just know, how about we just note that?
Yep, perfect, thank you.
Ms. Raisler, please.
So what this resolution does is it allows us to give an update of what our actual population census is. The way that the levy works for a lot of the community ed pieces, it's based on our census, on our population. And that goes back to 2020, and that does not get updated for 10 years automatically by the state. However, we do have the option then to request that our population or census data be updated to what is current. And so for our case, the current figure then is 32,022 versus the 31,318, which is on our levy. What this will do then is it will bring in more revenue for our community services programs. Not a ton of money, but it brings in a little less than $5,000 for, youth enrichment and after-school programming and basic community education revenue. We've done this for the last couple years.
Discussion.
Mr. Chair, just my question. Ms. Raisler, so that's basically every, if you will, belly button within our school district proper, if you will? Is that, I mean, because it's not just Faribault, correct?
Correct. It's all of the municipalities that are served within our school district boundaries.
Okay, thank you so much.
Further discussion? Director Steves, this is a roll call item.
Linda Boudreau,
Aye.
Candace Knudsen,
Aye.
Linda Moore,
Aye.
Jerry Robichaud, Cassie Steves, aye. Chad Wolf,
Aye.
John Bellingham.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0.
Thank you. 10D, consider approval of the fiscal year 27 proposed budget. Is there a motion for approval of the fiscal year 27 proposed budget?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Wolf. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, thank you, Director Steves. And discussion, and once again, Ms. Raisler, I will turn this over to you first.
Thank you, Chair Bellingham. Okay, so the packet that you have in front of you does describe what I am recommending for our FY27 proposed budget. The first few pages give information about our school district and administration, our school board, those different pieces. I've also updated the school administration piece to include what we know today for our different sites. And so as an example, you'll see Allison Sweeney is listed as the Lincoln Elementary principal. So, future thinking, we're looking at fiscal year 27. The first page that probably has some of the more interesting highlights, as we have talked about, we are in a enrollment decline at this time, and we continue to see that moving forward. So our average daily membership projection for fiscal year 27 will be decreasing to 2,970 students. And so that will affect revenue coming in. As you will remember, enrollment is our main driver for revenue. We did get to experience a 2.7% increase on the basic general ed funding formula. And so that, even though we have a decrease in students because of the increase in the Gen Ed formula, we will see an increase of about 1.3 million in our general education funding. However, we will see a decrease in our compensatory funding. This particular item has been a little difficult to nail down. This was something that was discussed at the legislative session this year, and so initial, they call them district runs. So the initial run that we had indicated quite a decrease in our compensatory, closer to 600,000. Then it looked like it would be about 400,000. And as the session went on, we started to see just a little bit more and more that we could anticipate for our compensatory revenue. And so at the time that this document was created, we are looking at a almost $300,000 decline from last year in compensatory revenue. Please note that MDE is still working on finalizing these numbers. In fact, there was a run that was out today, and that's different than what we're seeing here. Better. So that's a plus. It's still not what we had anticipated, what we had from last year. So it will still be a decline, just not as bad. So last year we had about 7.6 million in compensatory revenue. This year, we're looking at closer to 7.4 million. We did have an increase to our English learner our English learner aid. And so that increased about 578,000. And so that will be approximately 1.8 million that we will see in EL aid next year. The highlights then for the expenditures. We did have board-approved budget reductions. This board did approve reductions of approximately $1,023,500, and then had a few approved enhancements. So our net approved budget reduction was $968,500 going into this budget cycle. Our proposed and negotiated contract settlements, that projection is about a $2 million increase then from FY26 to FY27. We have a large increase in our transportation expenditures of about 680,000, and we're all aware of gas prices and those different kinds of things that are affecting our transportation costs. Other purchase services would include things like contracted services, PSEO classes, concurrent enrollment, care and treatment, and that is is projected to increase about 567,000 from FY26 to 27. So looking at these highlights, when we're looking at the general fund, the unassigned fund balance is projected to be $68,520, or 10.57% of our budgeted expenditures. Please remember that our minimum fund balance for our unassigned is 9.5%, so we are still above that minimum. The next slide shows some information regarding our other funds. So our food service fund, as Superintendent Benty already mentioned, we are providing summer meal services for community at the high school and Lincoln Elementary. We also provide food for our Kids World kids throughout the summer. We currently have 5 meal programs that we run. These are the CACFP, which is Child and Adult Care Food Program, the School Food Service Program, National School Lunch Program, the National School Breakfast Program, and the Community Eligibility Provision Program. We do have vended meal contracts with Discovery Public School, Three Rivers Head Start, Little Scholars, Surratt Academy, and also Nurse Strand. Please remember that we are purposefully spending down the reserves to adhere to MDE requirements. Through March 31st, 2028, we will be allowed to have 6 months worth of cash net in our reserves. This is usually 3 months. As of March 31st, they will go back to 3 months. So we have a little over a year, almost 2 years, to get that down. So we are purposefully spending money down in Fund 2. Our Community Education Fund, these are programs such as early childhood family education, preschool, adult education, youth and adult enrichment and recreation, our Kids World program. And we have a great partnership with so many of our community partners and community businesses. And so we are continuing to ensure that those are strong relationships and collaborations. Our building construction fund, we are at the end of that construction fund. So we will see very little in revenue or expenditures in Fund 6, our construction fund. However, we will continue to see activity in our debt fund because we still have to pay off the debt of which we borrowed to do those construction items. Our internal service fund is for our self-insured insurance. And this is made up of the collection of insurance premiums and then related payments for claims. We did recognize an 8% increase in premiums from fiscal year 26 to 27, which is almost half of what we had going into fiscal year 26. So we're really pleased with that lower premium increase. And then we have our irrevocable trust fund. And this, of course, is the share of retiree insurance payments and our implicit rate subsidy per the actuarial study that we have done. The next page shows our trending for our enrollments, what our enrollment trends and projections look like. As you see on the graph, in fiscal year 22, we were at almost 3,300 students. The end of this fiscal year 26 will be at about 3,027 students, and the projection for FY 27 is 2,970 students. You can see the projections continuing forward. We are projecting a decrease. The next page then gives information regarding our unassigned fund balance, as well as all of our restricted or categorical funds, reserves in Fund 1. So again, our unassigned fund balance, we are projecting to start the year with about 8.7 million in our fund balance, which is about 12.5%, or 3% more than our minimum fund balance. Our revenues will be approximately 53,867,000. Expenditures about 55 million, which leaves us with an end-of-year projected fund balance of $7,478,261, or 10.57%. You'll see the restricted areas. All of those are listed. I will not read them off for you. There are a few, though, that will be of interest. So our literacy incentive aid, it's item 456. It's more than halfway down the list. Literacy incentive aid, and we are using that for curriculum that we will be purchasing that has already been approved by the board. Teacher compensation for READ Act. This is specifically training for the READ Act. And so we will be paying stipends to those who have gone through the READ Act training. And this is part of what has been agreed upon in the teacher contract. You will see that our long-term facilities maintenance, the expenditures are exceeding the revenues, causing us to have a negative fund balance. The way that that will be taken care of is to use our operating capital. Currently, our operating capital has a larger fund balance, and so we'll be using that to offset some of our long-term facility maintenance spending. The other thing that was approved with this legislative session is that we can now use operating capital for some of our utility bills. So that is something that I have implemented in this budget. I did not move all utility bills because that would wipe out our operating capital as well, but did move some of them to relieve the undesignated unreserved fund balance. Our medical assistance, which you just approved, the third-party billing, that is projected to be at a $700,000 revenue and a $700,000 expenditure, so they do offset. When all is said and done, the total general fund, we are anticipating a starting balance of about $11.2 million. Our expenditures will exceed our revenues by about $1.7 million, ending the year at about $9.474 million. The next page goes on to the other various funds that we have. So in Fund 2, again, this is our food service fund. We are starting the year with about $1.4 million. We are purposefully spending more than what we receive. And so we are anticipating to end the year with approximately $1 million. Community education, this is broken out by its various fund balance and reserves. You will see overall that the total community education, we are starting with $998,000 in fund balance. Our expenditures are anticipated to exceed our revenue by about $334,000. You'll see that the school readiness fund will potentially end in the negative. What will happen then is that we will move dollars, most likely from our general community education fund, into that school readiness fund if this does come to fruition. Overall, our community education fund looks really good. I know that you may not understand or feel like it looks that great, but for a community education fund, this is a very positive outlook. The construction fund, as I noted, is coming to a close, so we'll see the revenue would be interest, and we will just ensure that whatever we receive in interest will be spent for any of the odds and ends that need to be taken care of. Debt service, again, we talked about that. That will continue to be the debt payments and the principal and interest that we must pay. Our internal service fund, our self-insured fund, is looking really so much better at this point this year than it did last year. So we are continuing to increase our fund balance so that we are back to the reserve that we had wanted. And then our OPEB, irrevocable trust, we continue to have a pretty steady fund balance there of about $2.5 million. So overall, our total fund balances for all funds is about $17,850,000. We're going to receive in about $85.7 million, spend about $87.7 million, and end the year with $15,770,948 in fund balance, which is a decrease of about $2 million. The next page gets just a bit more granular regarding where money is coming from and how it's being spent. And this is inclusive of all funds. When we're looking at revenues, we usually break those into different revenue sources. The first line that you're seeing there is local property taxes, what's levied. And so we have the general fund, community service fund, and debt service fund. Those are the three funds that we're allowed to levy for. The amount that you're seeing in the general fund is a decrease from what we have seen in past years. Our other local and county, this would include things like miscellaneous revenue, interest, rent, those different kinds of things, participation fees, gate receipts, etc. Food, lunch services, anything that's participated in community ed, those different pieces. So you're seeing that the general fund will receive about $1,957,000 in other and county, $211,000 for food service, $2.9 million for community service. The building fund, again, this is just anticipated to be interest from our banking account. The debt service fund, roughly $20,000. And then our internal service fund, about $3.5 million, and our revocable trust, about $168,000, which again is interest. The state sources is the large share that we receive for the general fund. This includes the general ed formula and other aids. So this is about almost $55 million that we're seeing in the general fund. The food service fund is about $211,000. Community service, $1.8, and debt service, $464. In federal sources then, we're seeing about $3.9 million, almost $4 million in federal sources. Food service, that's where they receive their, most of their money is in federal resources for food service, and community services, $872,000. The expenditures then are broken out in program areas. So our program areas are administration, district support services, regular instruction, etc. There is nothing of too much surprise here. Our pupil support is where we're going to see all of our food service. We see our community education service, of course, that entire amount then is listed in that particular column. And then our fixed and other fixed cost programs are where we see the debt service, internal service fund, and the irrevocable trust. Overall, you're seeing the same numbers that were presented in the previous page, just in a little bit different manner. The next page then gives us the pie chart of what our breakouts look like. So as an example, the state sources are the highest for our general ed fund. And so this consists of the general ed formula, the different categoricals, compensatory, English learner aid, etc. In the federal sources, we see $3.9 million, or 5% of our total revenues. In special ed, this federal source provides about $1.3 million. Title is about $1.6 million, and grants are about $1 million. Local property tax levies consists of our general fund, our community ed, and our debt service fund, and that comes up to about $9.7 million, or 14% of our revenues. Other local, like I discussed earlier, that's our interest, donations, local grants, fees, gate receipts, participation fees, those different kinds of things. Looking at the next chart, that shows then our proposed general fund expenditures of $72 million. Our regular instruction, vocational education, and special education instruction, those three combined are 64% of where our expenditures go, where it should go to our students. The instructional support services you see in the pie chart about 10 o'clock, that is $5.9 million, or 8% of our total expenditures. This would include curriculum, our tech services, library or media, and our staff development. Pupil support services, or 8.2 million, 11%. That would be our transportation, counseling, social workers, nurses, SROs. Sites and buildings is 7 million, or 10%. And that's our operations and maintenances, our facilities, and our long-term facilities maintenance. The fiscal other fixed cost programs are about 443,000, or 1% of our expenditures, and that consists of OPEB and some leases and insurance, etc. Our administration is 2,585,000, or 3% of our total budget, and that would include the board, superintendent, and principals. District support services is 2.1 million, or again, roughly 3%, and that would include the business office, communications, human resources, the tech director, elections, etc. The next page then gives an outlook of what our budget is looking like going forward. As you're seeing then, our actual for 25, we actually ended in a positive with increasing our fund balance. We are anticipating to have a decrease for fiscal year 26 when the audit is complete. The same is true then for the next 3 fiscal years if we do not do anything to correct the trend that we're on. So for fiscal year 27, in the general fund, we are anticipating to go down that 1.7 million, leaving us at a 10.57 fund balance in the undesignated unreserved, still over the minimum, but getting a little bit too close to that minimum. You can see the projection assumptions that I used. We have that projected decrease in student counts. We know what we saw for an increase in gen ed formula for this year. However, I'm anticipating only 2% for the next 2 years to be conservative. We have experienced a decrease in compensatory, and I anticipate that we will continue to see a decrease in compensatory unless the legislature does something different with how they fund that formula. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Raisler. Discussion.
Mr. Chair, I have
Director Wolf.
several if I can.
Very good.
Thank you, Ms. Raisler, greatly appreciate it. Can you had talked about on, I believe, page 7, the LTFM, essentially we're deficit spending there or whatever. Can you just remind us the sale of the ALC, knock on wood, it goes through, right? What can those funds be used for? And I believe Kinley, but how does all that flow and where does that live, those funds, if that sale is consummated?
Yeah, so, yes. So if the sale goes through, we can use all of the funds from the sale of the ALC building to help offset the costs of the remodel at McKinley. Unfortunately, the costs at McKinley are higher than what the sale price is.
Okay, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. And then my next question is the food service fund. I think you said that, that's on page, I guess, 8, top of page 8. Earlier you had said that we have until, I think, March of 2028 to get that down to 3 months reserve.
Correct.
If everything stayed equal today, what does 3 months reserve translate into a dollar amount? Do you have a rough number?
Yeah, so we're already over and 6 months, so we would have to get down closer to like 500,000.
Okay, so almost cut in half.
Yeah.
Again, okay. And then last but not least, thank you for answering all these. Back to page 7, top of page 7, we project that the next school year, correct? This is what we're looking at, the next school year, we will deficit spend in the unassigned fund balance to the tune of $1.2 million.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
And so I guess my question to you and Superintendent Benty is, are we doing enough reductions should we do more? I'm not looking to, terminate people, but my concern is we have to do something. We can't deficit spend year after year after year unless there's a new pot of money found somewhere, and we usually don't find that on the school board. And so, is that a deep enough reduction of 1.2 million based on what you are projecting?
It is, with the understanding, and Director Reisler and I have gone through this, with, especially with our building leadership, is that it is a deep enough reduction for this coming year, with the understanding that we will be reducing the following year as well. So we know going into this year that we are already going to be in budget reduction mode for the following school year, and we'll be working on that come this fall.
And typically, the earlier we cut more, the less we have to cut in subsequent years, correct?
Correct.
It just has a compound.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then my last one, I'm sorry. When you talk about staffing up on page 2, Lincoln Elementary at this time, it does not show a coordinator there. Will there be a coordinator? I'm sorry, it does not show a dean of students like it does for, I think, Jefferson. Will there be a dean of students replaced there?
Yes, so the high school and Lincoln will both have dean of students. They have not been hired yet, so they're not named in there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Director Wolf, further discussion? Director Moore?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Reisler, for getting the budget out in a timely manner. I do appreciate. I just have a few questions here. On page 12, okay, we talked about we're going to have to do budget reduction.
Director Moore, excuse me, will you pull your microphone closer once?
Oh, yes.
Thank you
okay.
so much.
We have to do, okay, on page 12. It's projected 2027, 1.7 million. Now, Mr. Wolf talked about 1.2 million we'll have to reduce, so it's really 1.2 million.
So 1.2 million is the unassigned, undesignated.
Okay.
The additional 500,000 is in those restricted areas.
Restrict- Okay.
Yep.
And then even looking at projected 28, 29, we're going to be really 2.1 million and then 3.1 million. We're going to have to really make some budget cuts then.
Yes.
Okay. And page 11. Thank you for, you said that the instruction was 64%. Thank you for that. And I don't, maybe Mr. Benty can answer this more. So just in the trend, with regular instruction, it's 36%. Has that been about through the years? Is that kind of stayed steady or is it gone down? And I want to check with special ed too. That's 27%. I'm just curious, has any of that gone up? What's gone down? If you could
It ebbs and
address that.
flows roughly 1% here and there per year, but it's pretty standard
It's
across the board.
about steady. Okay.
We have seen a slight increase in special ed as we know our numbers
Yes.
continue to increase.
Okay, and on page, talked about the 1.7 million, or 1.2 million. You mentioned with community services, it's 330, it's about 334,000. That doesn't look as bad. Maybe you, I didn't catch it, but could you just briefly explain why it doesn't look so bad?
Because we have positive fund balance. So in our community ed, the community education fund balance itself is actually quite healthy at 742,000. So that's part of why I say that. Also, school readiness, while it does show a decrease, we more than likely will be able to recognize some areas where we could potentially decrease some expenses and adjust where some of those dollars are coming from.
I guess it concerns me that we have to keep, we seem to budget reductions. Is that because we don't foresee what's coming ahead, or do we keep adding? Maybe we should, cut back a little bit. I don't know. I'm just concerned about that.
It's because we keep losing students.
Losing students. Okay. I guess too, I do appreciate all of this. I know this is a lot of work. When we are given a budget to review, we're given basically the summary of all the funds, both revenue and expenditures. I guess for me, I'd like more details or specifics. like, for instance, if I wanted to find the amount dollars coming in for grants, which is taxpayer money, I'd like to see that at some point. I don't know if this is the time to ask for it or not, but is that readily accessible to the ordinary person? Or would they need a FOIA for that, for more specifics?
I can give you a very summarized idea of the sources from which our
Yeah, at
grants
some
are
point.
coming.
I don't expect you to do it now, but,
I've got it if you would like it.
okay,
So we have about 1 million in federal dollars that we receive in grants. 2 million come in miscellaneous. So these are grants that are not tied to the federal or tied to state. They are just outside grants that are available to school districts. And we have about 715,000 that we receive in state grants.
if the member of the public, or if even me, if I wanted to see more specifically, I would just have to ask you then, or just, would they go through Mr. Benty, or?
Through Mr. Benty.
Okay, all right, because I would like to see more specifics. As I said before I approve the budget, I'd like to see more, more details. But thank you for answering the questions, and I'd like to look into that more, so thank you.
Discussion, Director Steves.
This might be kind of an obvious or silly question, but the budget reduction on page 11, sorry, I'm scrolling. These scary red numbers assume that we are declining enrollment and we are not right-sizing our staff and/or operations, correct?
We continue to work on those, yes.
And that's something that we have always been mindful of keeping within preferred ratios, but also being very mindful of our budget and our deficit.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anything else, further discussion? I would like to go back to page 12, and I think this is what Director Steves is referring to. So the numbers in red on page 12 with so budgeted 2026, we have 1.2 million. Is that what we cut last year for this year? Or is this what we're projected to cut this coming February?
No, what the budgeted 2026, that's where I'm anticipating we end the year. So when the audit is done, I'm anticipating that our expenditures will have exceeded our revenues by 1.2 million.
So, and then we will have to adjust to that.
Right, so we adjusted fiscal year 27 by 968,500. We've already cut that out for 27. I'm still anticipating that we're gonna overspend by 1.7 million.
Okay. So then if you go to 28 with 2.1 million, almost 2.2 million, is that if we do nothing?
Correct,
If we did nothing in 27, that
correct,
rolls over there. And then the same with 29.
correct,
If we did nothing in 27 and 28, that's the 3 million there. So when we
Correct.
do adjust that, 27, there, that number will, and 28 and 29 will not be that large of amount.
correct.
I think I just wanted to point.
Yep, yep.
Okay, for me to understand that and other people as well.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say that I think the budget, just the whole presentation is far easier to understand than, maybe I'm starting to get it. But I think that the graphics and all of the explanations have been really helpful. I just see that this is just an annual thing where we keep losing students. We have nothing we can do about that. We have to find money somewhere or take it out of our savings, right?
Correct.
And so we're going to do probably a little bit of both every year. It's not a fun job as a board member to have to do that, but it's not really anything that we've done. This is all the projected shortfalls in babies being born. They're just not not being born, and they're not coming into our school. So I thank you for being very clear, explaining everything, helping us to get it, and appreciate your work. Very thorough.
Mr. Chair, I just want to follow up on Director Boudreau's comments, and I don't want to mean to be argumentative at all. I would say there are a couple things we can do to either slow the decline of enrollment or increase our enrollment, and that is do everything within our power to better our test scores. If our test scores aren't good, that gives people an open opportunity to go north, go south, go to the private schools. And so I think anything that we can do within our power and as creatively as possible within our means, I do think those are things that can move the needle. I don't think there's an easy answer there, and I don't think there's a magic wand. But I do believe that if we can improve that, and also the communication with the community and the input and the feedback with the community, I think makes a difference as well. And I'm not saying we're not trying on any of that. I'm not accusing anyone of that, so please don't say that or think that. But there's no doubt that we have a fair amount of students in Faribault proper or in our school district that go elsewhere.
Chair,
Director Robichaud.
Dr. Roser, are you familiar with the school trust fund?
Mm-hmm.
If that
Director
constitutional
Robichaud,
amendment,
will you please pull your
thank you. You heard my first question.
I did.
School trust fund, there's a proposal that could possibly be on the constitutional amendment. The literature that's coming out is indicating that's going to be a significant benefit to public schools across the state. Can you explain a little bit about that, just for the public's knowledge?
So what this would be is releasing, if you will, if voted upon favorably, it would be releasing funds that the state has and allowing them to be used for public school revenue. I have not seen any district runs. I don't have any idea what that would look like as far as how it would affect Faribault Public School, but it would be another revenue source that we could potentially tap into.
Yeah. The literature that's coming out, they don't say it's significant, but it certainly would be beneficial to the public schools.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
Thank you.
and so that will be a November vote from my understanding.
Positive November vote for the constitutional amendment.
Yes.
Thank you, Director Robichaud.
Mr. Chairman,
Director Boudreau.
I did not mention the mandates that we have coming on the state level and the reduced compensatory funds. Those are not things we have control of either. And the mandates, the requirements for providing services that we haven't had to provide before. And I think since we're putting it all out there, we got to add that. So, thank you.
Last call for discussion. Seeing none, we have a motion for approval of the fiscal year 27 proposed budget. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion passes 6-1. Agenda item 10E, consider approval of the property and casualty renewal. Is there a motion for approval of the property and casualty renewal?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Robichaud. I will second that motion. And discussion, and just as a reminder, this was also, I should have mentioned before in the proposed budget, this also was approved by the Finance Committee
Yes,
as
it
well.
was.
So, Ms. Raisler, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Bellingham, and as board members, as you have in front of you, the recommendation that we have regarding the property and casualty insurance renewal as well as the workers' comp renewal. I've asked Grant Wilson from Hartman Insurance to come and speak with us tonight, so I'm going to turn it over to you, Grant. Thank you, and I'm sorry you're here so long.
Oh, that's quite all right. Good evening, everyone. This year, the increase that you see is largely a function of the property piece continuing on its inflationary track. As we discussed last year, it was obviously very significant last year as the insurance carriers caught up to what was happening within the market, be it the claims and the inflation. We had a large increase. This year, it's not as substantial, but we do see net, it's about 10%. Half of that is continuing along our path of trying to get our insurance to value for our property up to where we know the replacement costs are. And the district has taken a very measured but responsible track on this. I think hopefully everybody would agree that that's a logical stance to take. I think you're doing a very good job on that. Work comp-wise, we had an 8-point uptick in our experience mod, which is not, we don't love to see that, but we did have a claim or two that affected us. To their credit, SFM, who has been an outstanding partner for us on the work comp, it really helped dramatically bring the premium down a number of years ago, and it's been incredibly consistent even with a decrease last year. We have a $2,000 increase this year, even though our experience mod would have added 8% to it. They helped us offset virtually all of the increase. Their goal is to try to keep it steady at a number that they believe to be a fair representation of the premiums that they need to make this fly. And they've stuck to their guns on it, and they've been a really good partner.
Very good. Board members, discussion. Discussion. Last call, discussion. Very well presented, obviously. Okay, we have a motion for approval of the property and casualty renewal. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Agenda item 10F. Consider approval of the school nutrition program joint agreement contracts for fiscal year 26-27, and they are with Cannon Valley Special Education Co-op and Nurse Strand Elementary Charter School. Is there a motion for approval of the school nutrition program joint agreement contracts for the fiscal year 26-27 with Cannon Valley Special Ed Co-op and Nurse Strand Elementary Charter School?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Steves. Is there a second?
Second.
I didn't catch the.
Linda.
Thank you, Director Boudreau. And discussion. Ms. Raisler, I don't know if you want to expand on this a little bit more or not.
So the 2.2 joint agreement contracts that we have are with Cannon Valley Special Ed and Nurseton Elementary Charter. What this means, being a joint agreement, is that we provide the services and we deliver the food or cook the food on premise, and we also do the claims for those meals. So we monitor, do the claims, all of those kinds of things. So that's why these two are slightly separated from the others.
Discussion? Discussion? Director Moore.
Yeah, I just want some clarification, I guess. So with all of these entities on this page here, or school sites, we're considered the vendor.
So for these two that we're doing through a joint,
Yep.
it's as if they are sites of ours. So like the high school, middle school,
Okay.
et cetera. That's how we treat these two.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, so I'll ask
So
the
they're just
question the
slightly
next
different.
time.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
Thank you.
Director Wolf.
Ms. Raisler, on these two, do we get some administrative servicing fee for doing these?
Yeah.
We do, okay, thank you.
Discussion? Last call for discussion? Hearing none, we do have a motion for approval of the school nutrition program joint agreement contracts for fiscal year 26-27 with Cannon Valley Special Ed Co-op and Nurse Strand Elementary Charter School. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 10G, consider approval of the vended meal agreements for the fiscal year 26-27 school year, and they are with the following institutions: Surratt Academy, Discovery Charter, Little Scholars, and Head Start. Is there a motion for approval of the vended meals agreements for the fiscal year 26-27 of the four schools that I have read?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Boudreau. Is there a second? Director Wolf, thank you. Discussion, once again, Ms. Raisler?
Okay, so these 4 contracts are just slightly different. So these we are vended. So these we do charge the entity for the meals that we provide, and we deliver these meals. So the meals are made at our site, the high school, and then we have a driver who drives the meals to the sites, drops them off with instruction of how to keep them warm, keep them cold, whatever that might be, and then we pick up the materials at the end of the meal time. So, so there is a slight markup on the meals because we do not claim them for reimbursement, so they are actually charged for the meals that they receive. We do have 2 CACFP entities, and that's Child and Adult Care Food Program, so that would be the daycares, and so that's the Head Start program and Little Scholars program.
Very good, thank you. Discussion? Discussion? Last call for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 10H, consider approval of a food service coordinator position. Is there a motion for approval of a food service coordinator position?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Robichaud. Is there a second? Director Boudreau, thank you. And discussion. Ms. Raisler, I'll turn this over to you again.
Thank you. So the request that I have before you is coming to light due to the number of programs that we serve for food service at our district. We have 13 different sites and we have several different programs that we serve. With the opportunity, knowing that we will have a different food service company beginning July 1st, I am requesting that we actually have our own food service coordinator who can dedicate their full time and attention to some of the administrative tasks that I do and that the business office staff has to do. So what I'm asking for is a full-time 260-day contract food service coordinator. The rationale for this is to allow us to ensure that we're serving our students' family community in the food service area as best as possible. Having someone fully dedicated to ensure that monitoring is done correctly, reimbursements are done correctly, that our RFPs are going out in a timely manner, that we're doing monitoring, which is very time intensive. To do all of those administrative type duties, ensuring that our direct certified kids are correct, that we're really pushing our educational benefit forms out to our people, ensuring that we are in compliance in food service with all the programs that we have going on. I'm not sure if you noted in the recommendation, but we are monitored quite often because of all the different programs that we do. And when being monitored, it has been stated more than once that with all the programs and the sites that we cover in this district, MDE would recommend another person in our food service program. So the idea here is that we would have our own food service coordinator that we would use Fund 2, the food service fund, to pay for. This does not touch the general fund, and it does alleviate some of the duties and pressures that are on the business office and without having to touch general fund. So that's what this proposal is about.
Thank you, Ms. Raisler. Discussion.
Mr. Chair?
Director Wolf.
Ms. Raisler, I think this is for 1 year, or is this for an ongoing position?
The ask is for this year.
Okay.
In anticipation, we would be able to continue this forward.
Okay, thank you. And then, you talk a lot about this person being dedicated to this and taking a load off of the business office and all that stuff. Do you actually believe that this person could actually lead to some expense recovery or increased revenue just because of their focus on this?
I don't know if it'll be an increase in revenue, but it will certainly be a savings to the general fund, not needing to ask for additional help in the business office.
Thank you.
Discussion, Director Moore.
Yes, I just want to reiterate, I think Mr. Wolf said this burden basically was on you.
There was a lot
Which
that
is
was on the
quite a
business
bit
office.
Since in the last few years, food service has really expanded, so this was really quite a burden for you. So I think this is a good idea.
Thank you.
Discussion? Last call for discussion. Hearing none. All in favor of the motion for approval of a food service coordinator position signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 10I, consider approval of a 4-year lease with Trafera, hope I pronounced that correctly, for student devices. Is there a motion for approval of a 4-year lease with Trafera for student devices?
So moved. Or second.
I will take Mr. Wolf for the motion
Okay.
and Director Boudreau, Director Steve, sorry, I thought I heard something over here, for the second. And discussion, I will turn it over to Ms. Raisler and Mr. Burning.
And I'll happily turn it over to
Okay.
Mr. Birding.
Thank you.
Good evening. Tonight, we're asking for the board to move forward with us signing a lease, a 4-year lease to refresh the student devices at Faribault High School. We are looking for a total cost of $564,300 cut over 4 years for $154,997 for each year. The lease that you would see attached also has options for flex leasing, which is essentially our non-appropriations. So if finances change, if student counts change, we will be able to return some of the devices or get additional devices if that happens. Some of the other things to take into account, this is kind of an all-in. So when we're looking at this total cost, we're also looking at a 4-year ADP warranty, so accidental damage and protection. So it's a $0 deductible, which will help reduce some of the costs that we have associated with device repairs right now. It also does include the licensing, the perpetual licensing for Chrome devices, which lasts in perpetuity for the life of the device. And this cost also includes the Trafera's white glove service, which will basically set up the devices for us. So they'll be shipped here. We just need to make sure they're in the correct organizational units and disperse them.
Very good. Discussion. Director Moore.
First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Birding for all that he does for this district. I believe that you're a tremendous asset to our schools. And I believe that you're a tremendous asset to our schools, and I hope you stay with the Faribault Public Schools for a very, very long time. But that said, I do have a question. So we're adding to our technological equipment, correct? We're not replacing it.
This is replacing. Yep. So currently at the high school, they have iPads, iPad Gen 9s, which are 4 years old. And they've been through 4 years of high school students using them. They're ready to be replaced. Also, we don't have a whole lot of information from Apple on when an iPad or a MacBook or really any Apple device will go end of life. And with them already being 4 years old, Apple having released a handful of new iPads since then, we just can't determine how long they will continue to receive security updates as well as functionality for things such as state testing.
Okay, I guess the problem I'm having is the cost. We're looking at over $500,000 here. I don't think we can afford this at this time anyway. I would like to say, secondly, I do have a major concern too with the use of technology, and you and I may differ on this respectfully. And the physical and mental well-being of our students. If I may, Mr. Chair, I'd just like to go into this a little bit. I don't have a problem with technology per
But,
se.
excuse me, Director Moore, your comments should be on the motion for approval
Okay.
of the 4-year lease.
Okay,
That
I
should be the
will.
discussion.
I will address this next month when I have my 3 minutes. Thank you.
Further discussion? Director Knudsen.
So is there an advantage to switching over to Chromebooks? Because I have heard some teachers saying that they're not necessarily in favor of the iPads and would prefer the Chromebooks, but I don't know the difference.
Yeah, so we did actually start by surveying the students to find out what kind of technology skills and I think I worded the question as, what are some things you wish you would have learned throughout your time at Faribault Public Schools? And then we asked an open-ended question, like, would you be in support of doing this instead of iPads? And so I took that data and I brought it to the staff, essentially asking the same questions with a few more very specific questions, such as, would you support Chromebook over an iPad? Would you support Google Classroom over Schoology? And so while the results weren't overwhelming, they were probably around 55% of staff at the high school said that they would support moving towards Chromebooks. I would also go to say that some of the trends that we're seeing nationally is kind of a reduction of the use of technology in the classroom so that it's more intentional, which is a conversation that I'm having a lot. And switching over towards Chromebooks really sets us up for that. The iPads are not set up to be shared devices. And in order to make them shared devices, it really complicates what happens in the classroom and just the amount of instructional time lost. And Apple may say something completely different. However, as we're seeing these trends and working on being more intentional with technology use, I strongly feel, as do the teachers that I collected the information from, believe that we can make this work in a way that's going to increase intent of the use of technology.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Director Wolf.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Birding, following up on Director Moore's comments or thoughts on cost. So the 557,000, that's for 4 years?
We would pay 1/4 of that
Correct.
for 4 years.
Yep,
Yes.
yep, thank you. So 1/4 each year. And today, we have in our budget for like the Apple devices, we're paying something that's allocated each year? Or is our cost going to go up by 1/4 each year? I mean, we have to have something that we paid for iPads, correct?
Correct. So we're currently paying for management software for all of our Apple devices. So we will see a reduction in the number of licenses that we have for Jamf. And we will essentially be taking that money, and it does amount to a little bit more. So for Jamf, it's about $6 per iPad, but you pay that yearly. So over the course of 4 years, you're paying $24 per device. Whereas the license for Google management of Chrome devices is $32, but that's a one-time fee.
But so I'm sorry, when we bought the iPads, if you will, or did we lease them?
They were purchased, and it's my understanding that they were purchased with a combination of ESSER funds and ECF funds.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Further discussion? Director Woodward, did you have something?
No.
You missed? Okay. Sorry. Further discussion?
So, kind of another
Director
silly
Steves.
question. What happens with the iPads that we currently own?
So the iPads that we currently own, currently the middle school has iPad Gen 9s. So we do want to keep some on hand, just in case some of those, go bad, and so we can replace them with what we have. We are going to keep a couple in classrooms for teachers that have requested them for curricular purposes. So I'm looking maybe 3 or 4 classrooms having a set of 30. And then the rest we can distribute amongst the school as needed if we need some to have on hand, or the schools as needed, sorry, if we need some to have on hand. But generally, we would take our surplus and go to either auction or sell them on a state contract to asset recovery.
Perfect. And I would assume, to piggyback my first dumb question, they have the Chromebooks have keyboards and full setups with Microsoft products, I would assume, or Google products.
So yes, and the devices that we're requesting, the Lenovo 500E, is kind of a middle ground between a tablet and a laptop. So this model will fully fold. It will have a world-facing camera. So if we do have people that were taking pictures of things other than themselves, they'll still be able to do that. And as far as access to like Microsoft Suite, every student has access if they are asked to do so to Microsoft 365. But the majority of work that our students are already doing exists within the Google Suite.
Perfect, thank you.
Ms. Raisler, one follow-up question. The budget that we just discussed includes this, is already embedded in there?
Correct.
Thank you so much.
And you had asked earlier the interest rate during our finance committee meeting, and that is 5.92%.
On this?
Yes.
Thank you.
Last call for discussion. Seeing none, we have a motion for approval of a 4-year lease with Trafera for student devices. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion passes 6-1. We're down, thank you very much, Mr. Birding. Agenda item 10J, consider approval of resolution 26-30, establishing dates for filing affidavits of candidacy for election. Is there a motion for approval of resolution 26-30, establishing dates for filing affidavits of candidacy for election?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Moore, and a second.
Second.
Thank you, Director Knudsen. Discussion? Superintendent Benty.
So, Mr. Chair, this is our standard, every other year we go through this, so there are 4 school board seats that are open this coming November. This sets the dates of July 14th, candidacy will open, and it closes on July 28th, and there is a $2 filing fee that needs to be paid.
Discussion. 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 Director Steves, this is a roll call.
Linda Boudreau.
Aye.
Candace Knudsen.
Aye.
Linda Moore.
Aye.
Jerry Robichaud. Cassie Steves, aye. Chad Wolf.
Aye.
John Bellingham.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0.
Thank you. 10K, consider approval of resolution 26-31, calling the school district general election. Is there a motion for approval of resolution 26-31, calling the school district general election?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Steves. Second, Director Boudreau. Superintendent Benty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is our standard item that we pass when we join the general election. So we will join the statewide election this fall for the election of 4 school board members. A copy of the ballot is on the bottom of the back of the first page and top of the third page for you to see with the names that will be entered as people file.
Good, thank you. Discussion? Discussion? Seeing none, once again, Director Steves, this is a roll call item.
Linda Boudreau.
Aye.
Candace Knudsen.
Aye.
Linda Moore.
Aye.
Jerry Robichaud.
Aye.
Cassie Steves, aye. Chad Wolf.
Aye.
John Bellingham.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0.
Thank you. Agenda item number 11, dates to remember. July 6th, 2026, 5:30 PM board work session. July 19th, 2026, 7:45 AM facilities committee. July 13th, 2026, 7:30 AM finance committee. And then July 20th, 2026, 5:30 PM the regular business meeting. Agenda item number 12. Is there a motion to move to a closed session as permitted by Minnesota Statute 13D.05 subdivision 3A for the superintendent's evaluation discussion?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Boudreau. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Knudsen. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. The meeting is now